flip the agenda.
I see. Okay, I'll continue. I'll hit continue on mine. They now let us all know when you start recording.
Oh, good. All right, so I have shared the agenda. Can everyone see that?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Did anyone join?
That's a very good question. I don't think so. Let me look over there. Whenever I share my screen, I lose the meeting controls.
Just us five.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I see that. Okay. Oh, you can see that too, Darren? That's awesome.
Yeah, all the panelists can see under the participants.
Oh, there. Oh, if you know, I
we
always
can all
forget.
see
I
it.
touch the
Okay,
top
cool.
and then it all comes down. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Okay. So
of course.
do I need to call? I'll call the meeting to order. We do not have a quorum, but I don't think there's any votes tonight. So
There's no votes. It's just a simple discussion, just for people to have an opportunity to see the plans that the council's looking at tomorrow night and to provide a little general feedback, see if there's anything of consensus, but very informal.
okay. So can you go ahead and let us just say that there have been challenges with getting these drawings going and getting the making sure that the design team is giving us information in a timely manner. And I apologize for the quick notice for the meeting, because we did not get information until I guess it was last Tuesday, and then just going back and forth on things. And so we've had some interesting times, shall we say. So the pavilion at Stacy Park, we're in a process where we've done the master plan, we've done some planning, and the schematic design was due last week. And so the architects presented us at the last moment a need for seeing what a pavilion, and asked for a very quick decision, which is not an easy thing to do, particularly at such a high profile park. And so that's where we are tonight, to try to figure out what's going on. And they've presented us with basically three concepts. And tonight is not the last night to decide this, but it's kind of to give the design team some direction as to what we need to, where they can go. And quite frankly, from what I've seen, they need to flesh things out quite a bit on any of the plans. But we wanted to make sure that we had input to see kind of where things are. So what you're seeing tonight are the three very, very basic plans. And then we can move forward from there. I think the city council is going to review them tomorrow night at a work session. And I think that's primarily because they want to make sure that, one, that they know what's happening. And secondly, want to make sure that some of the issues that have come up with some designs of previous parks don't happen again. So that's where we're at. And so I will turn it over to Beverly to give us an idea and kind of walk through some of the plans.
Great.
And I know we've obfuscated a little bit on the designs, but I think it's very important that we have discussions around how we got here and what's going on. So
Right.
Beverly, go ahead, go for it.
Great, thank you, Jim. So what I wanted to do was kind of bring us back to what is the concept we have at Stacy. So what I have here is the final concept design that you reviewed. We received this, I believe, in December or January. And then we all reviewed it. So I wanted to kind of just remind you of what's happening here at Stacy. So this is the area we're talking about. Originally, the pavilion was moving over here. The former pavilion site, can everyone see this? Should I zoom in or is it okay? That's problematic.
Maybe one more zoom in.
Zoom in, okay,
Just one more step.
okay.
Yeah, that's nice. Thank you.
Okay, there we go. Okay, so this square, this rectangle right here, this is the current pavilion location. And in this concept plan that we saw, this is where they recommended to put the basketball court and then relocate the new pavilion over here, cheating it more eastward, and then having this nice view into the park, having the pavilion and the restrooms here backed up to the parking lot, and then have this auxiliary area that's attached to the pavilion for overflow. It would have bench seating here, and then it could be used for events as well by people that are renting it, but also when the city does events. But the picnic area itself would be under this part of the pavilion. We sort of call this the little acorn. During site visits, prior to actually, so once we have, so just for process, so this is our concept plan we have for Stacy. And as you know, then we go from concept into the more detailed schematic. And during schematic,
Yeah.
Pardon me?
Can I ask a really quick question about orientation?
Well, I think that's premature.
So is this,
because
well, is this parking the current parking or is
No.
this the,
No.
okay, I just want to make sure. So
Yeah,
that's
sorry,
the
okay.
new parking. I just wanted to
Right.
understand that. Okay.
Right, this is the new parking.
Okay, that's all I
And
need.
I need to move all of you over a little bit because it was blocky. Yeah, so this, just for a refresher, can you see my cursor?
Yes,
Okay, so this eliminates the walking path crossing the mouth of the park,
gotcha. Okay.
and it brings the walking this way. And then when we did the site walkthrough with the architects and the design team, once this concept plan was final and we start looking at the schematic, as you know, schematic gets far more detailed. So what we started looking at is the mature trees, what trees would have to move. And then we looked a lot more over here at this interface between cars and pedestrians. And gradually we came up with some better positioning for the pavilions. So what you'll see, I'm going to make sure I get into the right place. So what you'll see tonight is sort of a repositioning, but I wanted to kind of have you remember what we were doing there. And now I'm trying to get you to the actual concept where it talked about which, let me find the right screen, which, oh shoot, it's taken us off the page. Hang on, I'm going to get you there fast. Don't get dizzy. Okay, here we go. So this is the concept plan that has the basis of design for the things that are coming out into the parks. So in the site elements, and you get through the site elements and furnishings, then you get to the buildings and structures. So in buildings and structures, let me zoom in. I think we went to 100%. There we go. We can go a little bit further here. Okay. So in the buildings and structures, they went through the itemized checklist. So Villa Park will be renovated. Warson Park gazebo be slightly renovated. The Stacy Park Pavilion had a full replacement on it, and the Irvside Pavilion will have a replacement as a vision item, not immediately. So in our basis of design, the landscape architects recommended a prefab structure based on either in Atlanta or Savannah, which is a company from called Shade Modern Structures. I think I have the name right. And the specifics were that it would accommodate 200 to 250 capacity event. It would be metal construction with a roof, internal gutters, concrete pad, and would have a public restroom. In the sample here, you see the restroom under the pavilion, but that isn't necessarily what they were suggesting. They really wanted to show that this profile of the pavilion that was metal, and then the concrete pad. So this is what's in our basis of design concept plan. So then we get into what, so based on this, we had the site walkthrough, and Navigate brought on, KAI brought on a new architect specifically just for the site and the site specifics and the structure and the plumbing and the fixtures and everything for the pavilion. So I'm going to share with you what they submitted for us. I'm going to get your feedback. And then we also have, I can share with you briefly the suggestions the design team came up with as well, already providing feedback. So I'm going to gather yours. We've got the ones of the design team, and then tomorrow night council will provide their feedback. So this is what we received from the architects. When I share this screen, please tell me what you're seeing. Are you seeing the notes, and are you seeing the layout?
Yeah, we see the notes with the codes by it,
Okay,
and I see 3 photos, basically.
okay,
2.5.
okay, great. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move these notes away to get more space here. And now this is in the Adobe Reader. So if I close this ribbon, it should make it, we should be able to zoom in and see a little bit more. So they gave us 3 options. This is the first one. So
Beverly, we're still
That
seeing your
didn't
browser.
change. That didn't change anything.
what do you see?
We're still
same
seeing your web
thing.
browser.
Yeah, we're still seeing B3.
I didn't change my
The
screen. I
concept plans,
apologize.
yes.
Hang on, let me share, let me stop share and then reshare because I changed my,
Focus.
yeah, I have multiple browsers open. I apologize. Okay, here we go. This should be the right one. Okay, do you see a schematic now?
Yep.
Okay. All right, so this is a PDF, so it's easier for me to zoom in and out. Okay, so let me take you all the way out. This is what we received from KAI. They gave us 3 options. This is the first option. So what this reflects in here is the new parking. You see that there's been a slight change in the orientation of how this curves. This is disabled parking here, but also the big basketball court has moved a little bit to the north. And then what you can't see on this is that we've further reduced the interaction between cars and vehicles as you go up here towards the pathway. So this is the first option they gave us. This one is hexagonal. It still has that plaza that's attached. That would be for overflow. It has, it's a metal prefab. The restrooms are backed up here so that, and then people could load and unload. I'm assuming one of these would be designated a loading spot for people to come in, and you have your grill and your prep table here. So now I'll show you what this looks like from the side. So this is the style of pavilion they're talking about here. And what we're looking at is we're looking at the material of the fabric of the roof being metal and the post being metal, with the understanding that this is customizable. So the color, these can be wrapped with stone or all sorts of things. So really what we're looking at is the configuration here, not necessarily the fact that this looks really, this is obviously a desert community and not exactly what we're going to have in Stacy Park. Then we have design 2. You can see this is a different layout. The restrooms are cheating over here to the east. There's a much larger open area here, which would increase the amount of pavement. The plaza is here. The prep grill table cold box stayed there. And then this would look like this. Again, try not to look at the playground around it. We're looking more at the roofline shape and that feel of a more classic pointy roof and not a circle. And then the third one they gave us is the same layout we just saw with this larger area here, restroom still over here to the east. And then this one is the last two were prefab straight off the shelf with just customization of maybe some materials on it. This one is more custom based on a design, and this one would be an offset roof. And then the restroom would be built to order, not prefab. So this, one of the things that I am that I'm unhappy about is we have 3 different styles of renderings for you. 2 are actual photographs of things that are installed somewhere else. This one is actually an architectural drawing. So I feel like it doesn't make it very easy for you to see what you know, you can't compare like with like across these 3. So what I wanted to show you is the basis of design that was in our design manual. I'm going to minimize this, and I'm going to bring up the company that we had the basis of design. So for you to see, it's going to take a minute. I apologize. It's not.
While it's doing that, can I ask you a quick question about this roof type? So is that roof watertight, or the water runs straight down?
We believe it's watertight. So this is the actual one that's in our design manual. This is was in our design manual for Irvside Park, and this is what they based that off. This is called the Northwest style. So you can see that it's the same roof configuration, but it can be put in many different ways and with many different materials on it.
Because the ones I've seen like this are a runoff into a water retention, you know, like a water runoff. It's not really intended to be a roof per se. This is not that. This is a roof.
This is a roof. This
Okay.
is a roof. Yeah. This is a roof.
And there appears to be overlap between that small section and the big section.
There is.
Well, that's what you can't tell in this.
Yeah.
this
And
rendering.
and I think the other thing to bear in mind also with this particular design is we have found independently of the architects that this design, that there are some prefab options with this kind of a
Right.
split
Right.
design.
So these are actual installations of this design in other areas. And when you click on these, you can actually see where it is and what it's being used for.
Beverly, we're seeing the PDF still. If you're
Oh, you're seeing the PDF still?
Yeah, we're still on the PDFs.
Oh my goodness, my apologies.
So stop sharing and then try it again.
Yeah, you're right. I have to stop share. I apologize. Okay, let me stop
I
share.
hate technology.
All right, let's
We
try this.
wouldn't be together if it weren't for technology. So
So I'm taking you now to the actual website for the manufacturer. So this is the Northwest Pavilion, and what I was saying is that in our concept manual, this pavilion is listed in there as a vision item for Irvside Park. So this is the actual picture that's in the concept design manual. And then, can you guys hear me okay? I'm hearing something fuzzy. You can hear me okay? Okay, all right.
It just stopped, whatever it was.
Yeah, it stopped. Okay, good. All right, so then you can see I think you can see the URL up here. This is Classic Recreation Systems. Their website is shadesun.com, and you can see all of these in here. These are actual installations they've done, so you can see how it's used in a variety of settings and a variety of purposes. So that's the third option, and for lack of a better term, that one's called the custom option of the 3 on the PDFs. But what I'd like to show you is the other ones that were the basis of design in there for Stacy Park. So I'm changing tabs. Can you see a new tab? Okay, this one is,
Yes,
okay, good. This one is Atlanta. This was, so in our concept design, DTLS identified this Atlanta as an option for Stacy. This is the actual photograph that they put in the design manual right here. This one's called the Atlanta. And then the other one that they had recommended was the Savannah. So I'm going to click to that right now. Hopefully it'll come up. This is the Savannah. So again, this is another one of those photos, I believe, if I can get it to respond. There we go. So this is another one that's that round or the octagon shape. So this one was not provided by AI. They did not provide that one as an option. So to reiterate, the three options we received were, okay, do you see the PDF again? I don't think so.
no,
I do not see it.
Okay. Okay, how about now?
It's coming, yes.
Okay.
yes,
Okay, so just to reiterate, this is that first design that they shared that has the restroom in the rear with the octagon. This one is the prefab from Sunshade. Then the second option is one that's a more classic A-line roof line, similar to what we have at Earthside right now. It would look like something similar to this. And then the third one is the offset custom design here. And Darren, do you have the email with our comments that we're sending for speed, or should I'm going to stop sharing it all.
no. I haven't seen that.
No, we haven't given it to you. It's the
Okay.
one that the staff and the design team, the feedback we gave. Let me find it very quickly, and I can tell you the points we made. Okay, so the points we made, I'm not sharing my screen, right?
No.
Correct.
Okay, so what we said is that we'd really like the pavilion to be looking out at the park and not be kind of focusing on the parking lot.
Parking lot.
And those designs that had such a big patio area, open area behind it, we really felt that people would tend to put their components there, and it would start that whole looking at the reservoir in the parking lot again the way we currently have now, instead of having the park be the backdrop for events. The other thing we talked about is relocating those restrooms so that they don't block the view of the pavilion as you come into the parking lot. And we also reiterated that we need storage in that restroom building. And what I don't see in the documents that are up for tomorrow night's meeting, we don't see the aerial diagram of that restroom, but the one they provided had a 36-inch wide storage area, really basically a chase. And we really think that we need to be able to put supplies in there. We need to be able to stage, like ahead of the turkey trot, different things. It needs to be a much more larger footprint in there. And then our general comments are that we definitely have to have electricity, both for users and for us to be able to put up our party lights when we have our events. Ceiling fans are very desirable. Lights are not required. And then we really want to know what exactly is the material of that plaza area outside the overflow area. So is it decomposed granite? Is it concrete? What is it? So what I'd like to do is I'd like to share my screen, put the concepts back up that they provided to us, and hear from you your comments, things you hate, you really like, and go from there. I'm trying to get my controls here. Okay, here we go. So if we go back up to this first one. So I'd really like to hear from you, your thoughts on the flow, on the size and shape here. There are a few notes here. But I don't, hey Darren, did you see how do I show those notes from Joel?
There should be a note thing at the top of the PDF, Beverly. Like if you go up to the top, there should be a thing where you can show notes, add notes.
The keynotes for them?
Yes.
I'm not sure.
So if you go up to File, Beverly, and see if there's a option to show PDF and notes.
No, I'm not seeing it.
Go to View. Click over to View.
Yeah, maybe it's under view.
Yeah. Page display, I think. Go to page display. It's in here somewhere.
Okay, I have a better idea. I'm going to go to the council page.
Huh?
I'll open the council agenda. Take me a quick minute.
Tim, I think it's your computer that's making that buzzing sound. Yep. Oh, now we can't hear you though.
Wisconsin.
Well, that's not all bad. That's not all bad.
It doesn't do it when you talk, Jim. Okay, all right, I'm gonna share my screen again. So if I open this up,
and then go to that
shows the
PDF.
notes from the architect. I see a gray screen. Oh, there we go. Okay,
Just give it a minute.
now I don't see it. Isn't that weird? Annotations, 2-page view.
Go to document properties.
I can't, Sue. This is
You
what's
can't go.
loaded.
You can't go to. You can't get to
Oh,
that one.
document properties. Yeah, there we go.
Let's see if it's showing.
No. So
Nope.
when oh wait, you know what? I think I just have to do this. There we go.
Just scroll over.
That's what I wanted you to. Can you see that now?
Yes.
Okay. So this is Pavilion Option A based on preliminary cost data from a manufacturer. It's approximately 20% under the $550,000 cost in the conceptual estimate. Here is the restroom diagram. Then when we scroll down to the next option, this is option B. This is at the $550,000 cost option.
So
Here's how the restrooms would mirror that. And then the third one, that's option B. Then the third one, option C, they're calling this, based on preliminary cost data, this design is at the $550,000 also. And then this would have the different restrooms. Okay.
So can I go ahead and give you some preliminary comments?
Sure, that'd be great.
So you are correct. It's sort of frustrating that the two schematics are hard to tell usable space. And what I mean by usable space is if you look at that third one with the offset roof, it's wide open underneath the roof, right? So you can configure that very flexibly as far as the tables and whatever other amenities or furniture you want in there, if that makes sense. But when you look at the second one, not this one, but the other one, the hex shaped one, I believe, there clearly are poles that come down. So how does that impact the usable space is my question.
The poles are here, Sue. The poles are
Yeah.
on the perimeter. They're not in the middle.
But if you look at the one, it looks like there's poles in the middle as well. Like there's two poles.
I think she was talking about the octagonal one. Beverly.
Yeah,
Oh, are you talking about the first one, Sue, or the
this,
second one?
this one.
Okay, these
So-
are, these poles, Sue, are, this is like a porch. There's no poles on the
So
inside.
there's no poles on, so that pole, if you look at that blue sign, a third of the way to the right, that second pole from that blue sign, that is on a perimeter. Now
This
go to
is,
the other one, go
Yes.
across
Yes, it
from
is.
that.
it
it
is.
is.
Oh,
So
okay.
here's the diagram. So what
Yeah.
you're seeing is that view is kind of misleading. So there's
Right.
4 poles here, 4 poles here, and then there's 4 poles on the corners. There are no poles in the middle.
But so the other shaped building though, can you switch to that one?
The
one
one,
that's
the
not-
previous one or the first one?
The first one. I think it's the one I want.
This one.
So the same thing there. So the poles are on the corners.
Correct. Yeah, these are suspended structures, so they,
And the issue there, so I went up there today, as you know, Bev, and I took some measurements and I looked at table spacing, et cetera, just to get a better orientation. So just to reiterate, so everyone's on the same page, right? So right now, if you just measure the concrete pad of the current pavilion without, I didn't take into account the building or the restroom, right? So the length from the building out to the parking lot is 60 feet. The width is 37 feet with 7 feet on one side and 10 feet on the other. Does that make sense?
Now, did you say to the parking lot or did you say just?
And so I measured,
concrete right
I
now?
measured from concrete to concrete toward the parking lot, right? So that you see the orientation I'm at. So if I went from the building and I measured from the building to the end of the concrete, going out toward the parking lot, there were 6, basically there's 6 concrete pads, they're 10 feet each. So it's 60 feet. You with me? And then up roughly 37 feet is the width. And then there's 7, I don't know why they did this. There's 7 feet on one side and 10 feet on the other. So they're not even. But, and if you look today, the way the spacing is now, you can put 21 tables under there pretty comfortably. So we're losing a bunch of tables, first of all, which I don't know, good or bad, but at least in this design, you could put tables on, depending, Bev, that question's important that you asked. What's the surface in that back plaza section? And could you put tables or whatever out there? Or would you want to-
this is the surface we want to know, Sue. This
Right,
is,
exactly. That's why that's an important
yeah,
question.
This is concrete.
Yeah, That's
yeah.
why you need to know that, because you're losing a bunch of tables. In
So
this
is the-
design,
Yeah, and this is the one, this big open area here is the one we asked to get rid of because people would absolutely put a lot of clobber here.
Right,
And then the whole
exactly.
event's looking at the parking lot.
exactly. So could you shift that? So could you shift? So here's my other question. Could you shift this middle section toward the parking lot and open up the back even more?
That's what we asked. We
Yeah,
asked,
okay.
that was in that suggestion. We asked whichever design it is, we want the pavilion to move this way.
And open it the other way.
Right. However, we are trying to reduce the amount of concrete because it's so gosh darn expensive.
Exactly.
The other thing I kind of want to point out, so the reason that those aprons of concrete are on the current pavilion, vehicles can drive there, and we don't want vehicles driving anywhere around.
And
this.
why are they different sizing? That's why. Didn't
On
make
the,
any
you mean
sense.
over here on the current one? They're
Today,
different sizes
yeah.
because one is a drive aisle.
And the other one's just,
Correct. And so that drive aisle is the one we're trying to eliminate. There should be no cars driving
Okay.
to this pavilion at all.
yeah, that seemed That didn't make any sense to me why they did it the way they did it, but whatever.
Right.
Um,
No, that was because
okay.
they could drive up and unload everything into that.
So from a space configuration, I kind of like the third one the best, but I don't know that it really fits in the aesthetic of our park.
Okay.
It's a little
Right,
too modern. but
Sue, I'm gonna write down that your comments are that you want to have the higher capacity for tables.
well, I want to have it more flexible as possible, so that you could go from a small to a large if you wanted to. In other words, we might not keep it with all the tables in there, but you would have the flexibility to add
Okay.
as
Right.
needed, right? And for growth, that you could have more flexibility rather than less.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right. How about you, Ed?
Yeah, let me start by asking some questions first off.
Sure, you got it.
So on all of the roofs, in terms of water runoff, is that just pouring over the sides, or is there a guttering system for all three?
All three are supposed to have internal gutters.
Okay, that's good, because I didn't get that from looking at the pictures.
Right.
So,
And the reason for that is we were very clear in the beginning that currently Stacy doesn't have gutters, and that's one of the big problems we have there.
right, no, absolutely. And also because of, especially on the one side where we have the dirt, because that's not enough of an apron. And then the
Right.
water gets there and people are standing on it. That area
Right.
there is, I wanted to avoid that.
And it's also
Okay.
because we salt it and all
Mhm.
that salt runs off.
Okay, so good. So there's going to be a guttering system.
Yes.
Just do we know, or is it going to be going into a retention basin? Is it just going straight into storm sewer?
No, we have to have a bioretention here. Our original concept plan, our original concept plan showed bioretention over here.
That's what I wanted to know. Okay.
And that will move depending on what we do with this. That may be over here. It also depends on what the topography is and all of that. But there will be some sort of bioretention somewhere.
I think my biggest comment, and it's already been made actually in the observations, I think, in the notes you gave about the restroom. Since we've reconfigured somewhat for the handicap area or disabled area to be more of a curve, it's starting to look to me like very much of an entrance, very much of like, oh, this is clearly we are entering an area. And it's almost like you don't want your front door to be a restroom.
Correct.
Okay, so I appreciate you wanting to kind of move it over. I'm also wondering that even if it's moved over, is there anything that can be done stylistically to it so that maybe at first glance it doesn't look like a restroom, or maybe that's not, we're not seeing, men and women or whatever we're seeing on the outside, or we're not seeing the drinking fountain. If it's more, maybe it's a bulletin board or something that's more community oriented, or maybe there's a small garden in front of it. Again, what I haven't seen much on this is any idea of landscaping, like smaller scaping within the concrete area. So you talk about like how much concrete, like in the plaza area, do we build in little rectangles of flower gardens or something on the sides or something, you know what I mean? To kind of break that up, but not take away from space, but to soften and to, I don't know, vegetize, if I may coin that term.
To soften, and also opens up the concrete so there's not so much, just so it's so much non-permeable.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, I would like to see, can we look at that plaza area being similar to the way it is up at City Hall, with the parking there with the permeable pavers? I know that gets into some issues probably, but let me just throw that out there, that if there's a way to make it more impermeable, that would be great. However that looks, I have no idea, and even if it's possible.
So just to let you know, these little islands with trees in them, those are all going to be kind of little mini bios with water flowing into them. Okay. Yeah, that's what these are. And sadly, they'll be small. The trees will be small when we start out, but they will grow bigger. But that's part of that system, because we're really grappling. The size of this parking lot is so much bigger than the city center. The cost of it is that's one of the things we can do, is do these bioretention kind of islands, they'll provide a little bit of shade parking as well as allowing us to get some of that water out of there. And and as you know, there's a really big bioretention basin over here.
Yeah, and I think also I'm hearing from City Hall that there are some issues with the pavers.
There are, but one of the things that's happening with those pavers is they're getting clogged with cigarette butts.
And we're talking pavers that are being used for parking as opposed to what I'm suggesting, pavers for people to stand on.
Oh, I see what you're saying. These would be pavers.
Okay.
So you're suggesting this be pavers?
I was suggesting the plaza area.
Oh, this area.
Yeah, if we were to soften it with plantings.
Plaza pavers. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was suggesting.
Okay. Oh, I'm so happy that you clarified that. I did not capture that.
Okay.
That's a great idea.
So the next question is about lighting, because one of the things that I've noticed, I mean, everyone has obviously, is that even on a bright sunny day, you can get pretty dark under the pavilion. I'm thinking of the summer camps and the kids that are working in there, especially the one that our pavilion right now, it's just very dark underneath there.
It is.
So in terms of lights, but even just natural light, the split roof one, at least I think possibly could lend itself to a little bit of bounce ambient light kind of filtering in and lightening it up a bit. But I was wondering if there's any attention to increasing that so that really it's really lit up underneath as opposed to how dark it sometimes can get even on a sunny day.
Yeah, that is an issue because we absolutely don't want lights in there.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to put down in here is that I'm going to put methods for lightening it up, and then maybe it's painted a lighter color underneath, because like Indian Meadows is actually white underneath.
Yeah.
And it's very bright under that.
It's also very high too, which I think helps somewhat. It
does. And yeah, the Stacy one's rather low and it's very dark. The sides at Stacy come down really far. One of the things I talked about with this is they have this right now oriented to the south to block the heat. But one of the things I'm concerned about is the prevailing wind up there comes from the west. And perhaps this needs to rotate a little bit with that longer panel going a little bit more to the west to block some of that wind.
Yeah, you took my comment away from me. I was going to say that next, because definitely in a storm coming from the west, you're going to get forced rain underneath there no matter what you do.
Correct.
No matter how much of an overhang. So if you can orientate it more towards the north, it'd probably be a less chance, or east rather.
Yeah. So if this whole section, because one side's definitely higher than the other. So if this long low section rotated more towards Warson to block the way, because those storms come straight in from the west up at Stacy. That's where that wind comes and everything. But I think one of the things they have to do is they have to look at the prevailing wind. They looked at the sun initially, but I think, we've told them you got to look at the wind.
Okay. Yeah. So as far as the three go, I'm kind of partial to the split roof just because it's a little bit more interesting. I also really want light inside to be a priority. Yes. As far as the bathroom goes, I mean, you have to have them. I'm glad it's not under the pavilion. I'm glad it's not like attached to it. I think the idea of moving it off to the side is good. I very much want to try to minimize or try to not make it so restroom-like, because even though you're coming in the parking lot, it is kind of like the grand entrance into the park in some ways.
Right.
So try to minimize that. And, you answered my questions about water, ideas about vegetation. Sue, from what I could tell, is it the octagon one? Looks like it's pretty much the same tables. It's like 20 tables compared to the 21 you counted currently at Stacy. And I mean, that didn't seem too far off. And I guess brings me my next question. Are we looking at different types of tables? Like some parks I've been into, they literally weigh a ton and you can't move them. Then there's others that are much lighter and more versatile. Are we looking for something that they can connect together, come apart, be different configurations? Or are we looking at kind of like standard picnic table benches, really heavy? They just kind of are meant to stay there and then not be moved? Or what are we looking for furniture wise?
Well, that's a really good question, because one of the things that people love about Stacy is that the tables move. So we have all those extra tables that are under the trees by the playground.
Exactly.
And those move around on a daily basis following the shade. And people that can't get a reservation for Stacy or don't want to use it because they're maybe a small group, they have that flexibility and that freedom. And we really want to keep that because it is one of the wonderful things about Stacy is how those move around. And then in the pavilion itself, same thing. Everybody reconfigures those tables depending on what their event is. So we'd really like that. There is money in the budget to purchase new picnic tables. However, it could be that we also phase them in over time. If we do have to kind of reduce costs in some ways, that might be an easy way to sort of, kind of do that a little bit every year as opposed to doing them all. So I think we'll come to that eventually, but I agree with you. They have to be light. They have to be light also because it's just easier for staff to move them too.
Mhm.
I don't want to have to bring the backhoe to move the tables. And, we heard loud and clear during our park master plan process that people don't like the metal. They don't like metal benches and they don't like metal picnic tables. So that's definitely something for us to listen to. I know the basis of design that was suggested in our concept plans is more of a metal table. I think Inova Furnishings is the line that they selected in there, but Inova does have wood metal combos.
Exactly.
And Inova is headquartered very close to Stacy Park. Their company actually has their annual picnic at Stacy, which is really exciting because they're a nationwide vendor, but they're right here in St. Louis, which is wonderful.
Did you have any
Thank you.
thoughts on furniture for the plaza?
No, because the plaza is going to have a seating wall as part of it, and that's in that concept design. If money were no option, I'd really like to have some Adirondack chairs in there that people could move around and just
Yeah,
have
and
them
maybe
there.
some circular tables that.
Right, we could absolutely. They use circular tables at the Enterprise Holding Pavilion at Shaw Park.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Yeah, the only issue with the round tables that I have is that they seat far fewer people. But maybe if it's an outside area like that, it doesn't really matter. But I'm thinking that this plaza here will be really nice for special events and for the turkey trot. This would be great to be able to have food vendors out here if we have a big event going on somewhere else. I don't know if I mentioned it, but we asked that these be moved closer to wherever the pavilion is. These need to be part of it. It's, this is the group picnic site and it's supposed to be easy for the people using this. So we really ask that they be a little bit more tied together. And then the restroom itself, we really want to make sure that anybody in the park knows they can use that restroom. It's not exclusive for anybody that's using the pavilion.
What was,
Hey,
what is
Ed?
your, I'm sorry.
I have a question. Have you seen the restroom in Tillis Park on the, let me show you, the south side of the park off Litzinger?
Yeah, I was just there today, actually.
Yeah, that restroom, I never knew was a restroom until you actually go through the entry to it.
I mean, the one that's made out of the beautiful Missouri limestone?
Yeah, and you have no idea it's a restroom, right? And then you step in as a restroom, and they basically, the facade blocks it from looking like a restroom. And it's like, wow, that's a restroom? Who knew? Because all the other restrooms kind of look like a restroom, but that one, they did a really good job. And then they put that whole display thing up, right? There's a memorial wall thing in front of it as well. And then the playground. And so, and the way they oriented it, the other thing I like is it's clear that that's the restroom for that area, but for the playground too, right? I mean, they've oriented it in such a way it doesn't look like it's one or the other. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
So I think just turning it makes a big difference. If they could just, the way they angle it and the way they put the entry.
Mhm.
And then of course, Ed, your other point was whatever surface you pick, should lead you to it. Doesn't have to be concrete, but just like you did with the trail, you know the trail's a trail because you have the surface entry, right? And you see the difference.
You froze, Sue.
So you just froze.
Oh, sorry, Sue. I'll text her. Oh, are you back, Sue? You
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay.
I
you
wasn't
just froze
saying
for a
anything because I knew
second.
I froze.
Okay.
I stopped.
Okay.
So Bev, what was your suggestion for that larger concrete area that you wanted to reduce that was there by the disabled parking? Did you
Yeah.
want to move everything closer, or did you want to put like a vegetation strip there or trees, or what were you thinking would be a solution?
It's absolutely, I had absolutely wanted to shrink that area, but I love your suggestion of opening it up with a garden. We have not talked about that. That would be wonderful. I would love that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
Or
think
even
it's
tree, or even,
Yeah.
open it up and have some trees in there too. And that would soften the whole thing.
Yeah, I think it's important to know that we're at schematic design at this point. So we're trying to get just the basic concept in place and then go back to the design team to say, give us some designs. And then the next step, which I think comes out, what is it, September, October, is design development, which is really refining some of the stuff. But so I think it's really important that we
Yeah,
talk
I
about
think
this
this is a
stuff.
I think this is a great stage for that suggestion to be made. Now, tomorrow night, the council is going to discuss this, and you are all welcome to attend that meeting and listen to what they have to say. And I think if you attend, my guess is, Darren, what do you think, that they would ask commissioners for comments?
I think anything is open at that point. What you're talking about there, interestingly enough, it's the same thing those commercial buildings go through for a streetscape kind of look of. It's the same issues they face of usable space in front of the buildings versus the parking lot. Do you do it through bollards? Do you do it through those plantings? Do you do it through all those
Right,
things? So that's
right.
a great suggestion that goes with the rest of.
It would be wonderful if we had
Aggressive
some
building.
beautiful big boulders there and a couple trees and a native ground cover like pussy toes or something that doesn't need irrigation, and it could
Or
look
maintenance.
really nice and be
Yep.
at low cost.
Where
But
do you
so
hold it?
what I hear out of that really is that we would be okay at this schematic level with that kind of design as long as we could incorporate some sort of buffer of green or something as we move forward. That's great. I think what we would look for tomorrow is more of a summary, kind of what staff we presented. You with staff's kind of suggestions. That would be what the outcomes of some of the commissioners. As you discuss here, which is, it mirrors a lot what we've said, but we have some good additions. And
the council meeting is an open public meeting tomorrow, right? At
Yeah,
City
it's
Hall?
a work sessions too. So
But is it virtual only, or is it,
that's a good question. I don't know.
because the
No,
meetings are now
we'll
open?
be holding it at City Hall, but
Okay.
it won't have the normal kind of. It'll be more like a work session, a
Right.
special work session. Yeah.
I just thought that the work sessions were still virtual only. Am I wrong about that?
No, the work sessions have been
Okay.
both,
All right.
but not recorded or following that
Okay.
same.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and I recorded tonight's meeting just to help me make notes, not because I'm necessarily going to put it up on the website.
Okay.
So I have to give the
Emily-
presentation tomorrow virtually. I will be on Zoom for tomorrow's meeting.
So Beverly, do you have the information that you need to?
I think so. It sounds like you have a natural consensus already that you really want it with the flow and with the look and the feel being flexible, make softening it. Sue, I don't think I heard from you a definitive of which option, if you just looked aesthetically, if you liked one or the other rather than the size.
Not knowing the materials, I'm not ready to commit.
Okay, I get that.
I mean, any of them would be fine.
Okay.
I wouldn't be opposed to any of them, provided we meet the other requirements.
I think what I heard from you, Sue, more than anything was a function. Let's make sure we get the functionality
Right.
right, no matter.
That we want, right, exactly. Yeah,
Right.
and so my two things are the functionality and reducing maintenance costs
Mhm.
and long-term, right?
Mhm.
So you don't want the trees so close that, 10 years from now, we've got concrete issues on the parking lot or,
Right.
right? So we want to orientate it such
Yeah.
that we're
And then-
thinking
and then
10, 15, 20 years.
Select a tree that's smaller, that's not going to grow massive. Like we're not putting
Exactly.
pin oak out there.
No, that we want to aesthetically do exactly what Ed said,
Mhm.
is figure out, the look,
Mhm.
not necessarily the materials. I'm not concerned about that, right?
Okay.
I'm more concerned that it's a welcoming, flexible, usable space, and that it's not costing us maintenance down the road that we could avoid.
Okay, great.
Hey,
Terrific.
Beverly, the last question, when we went to NRPA, right, when it was here a few years ago,
Yes,
they had solar panels.
yes.
Could we put, if lighting's an issue, that one solar, I think you and I walked over and looked at, isn't there a solar thing that you could hang off the side to provide light?
Well, there are solar options for
Driven
lighting.
solar collector?
The bigger question, the bigger issue we have is that the park closes at dusk. And when the lights are on in the pavilion renters extend way past when they're supposed to be out of there. So
Yeah.
I really want to be able to have it be bright and light for people, even if it's an overcast, dark day.
Right.
But as far as putting auxiliary lights in there, it becomes problematic. What I also,
Even with the solar that you can turn off, that you can control?
well, we could have timers on them. I mean, anything could have timers, but I would prefer that there are no lights in there, because what happens is when there's lights, the renters ask, could you please turn the lights on? And we tell them no right now. We tell them no.
Okay.
But if it's directly solar powered, it's dependent upon the sun. As soon as the sun goes down, it's impossible unless you have an exterior,
Right, you have to have
electrical
battery
source to put into it. But if it's
Right.
just like that, if it's just some lighting that's, it's just like my fountain outside in my bird bath is, as soon as the sun goes down, it's off. Sun comes
Right.
up, it's on. Then
That's what I was thinking, but.
yeah.
And those
Oh, I
birds
see.
are still asking, the birds are still asking for the fountain to come back on.
They are.
Yeah.
I just tell them it's just the way it is. It gives the deer time to come and drink out of it, actually. I don't know if it's lighting, or I think it can be done with angles. I think, I've seen enough with architects and what they've been doing recently that there's ways of angling that they can get a lot of light in there without allowing weather to come in.
Right.
And
Right.
I would
Absolutely.
I would really want to push them on that and,
Yes.
and say, what can you do? Even some of these solar guys that come into houses and they have a mirror system, a tube system that gets you from one place all the way to the other. And it's unbelievably
sun
bright.
tunnels.
So there's the technology. Just push them on that and say, I know this is a prefab deal, but if there's any customization, what can we do to lighten it up in there?
Right, absolutely.
And that would point to concept 3, because as we adjust the roof panels, we can let in more light and perhaps get reflectivity off of the underside of the roof panels.
Okay, well, terrific.
So do you have what you need?
I do.
Billy?
I do. I do encourage you, if you can, to attend tomorrow night, because it's always, I think it's always very interesting to hear if the council has questions that we haven't covered already. I think it's really good for you to participate, because you are the Parks and Rec Commission. You're the experts in this area, and you've put a lot of thought and time into it. So if you're able to attend tomorrow, I think it's beneficial.
And you think in person?
I think it's your choice. I think it's your choice. But if they're meeting in person, I would be there if I could.
Right.
Yeah.
I went to the meeting last week, and there definitely aren't very many people that show up. So there's plenty of spacing.
Okay, I'm just saying, did they allow you to come into a work session?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
That's what I was asking Darren. Because they had the council meetings have been open, but the work sessions kind of have been mixed, but that's what Darren was saying, that we could definitely attend.
okay.
And my plan is to go in through the Zoom link in the agenda. And then if necessary, be promoted to a panelist.
I'm assuming 7 o'clock tomorrow?
I believe it's 7, yes.
7 PM. And that's going to be the only item on the agenda.
It's the only item, yes, yeah, and I
Okay.
think I'll talk to the mayor tomorrow, the pro tem, I'm not sure, I think one of them's gonna be gone. I think we'll probably bring Beverly on, will be as a panelist, and maybe Jim as the chairperson, but I don't know what, if we need to would have a wish for anyone else to be on there. I'll talk to the mayor tomorrow and see what direction we'd like to go, but it's good, valuable feedback, and valuable feedback's hard to find sometimes.
Well, I plan on attending, so I'll be there in person.
Yeah, I
Great.
think I might try.
Thank you
to
so
attend
much,
it.
everyone. I really appreciate it.
But you have to stand up if you're gonna talk, you have to stand up in person, so just keep that in mind, you can't sit in your nice chair.
Okay, and Beverly, has there been any discussion about Wednesday?
Oh, yes, Wednesday. You guys, I think we need to cancel Wednesday's meeting. We don't have anything, there's nothing for you to vote on except the minutes. And I'd really like to have the meeting happen when we have something definitive to talk about as far as where we are with the bid package.
Okay. Good.
Does that make sense? Okay, then I will cancel the meeting probably at some point tonight and push out the cancellation notice to everybody.
Okay,
Thank you.
so our next meeting would be then the third Wednesday
It would be the third Wednesday in August, unless something happens between now and then. We have to have, if something major happens with that bid or something, then I think it would behoove us to have a
Sure.
quick special meeting.
Bev, when do we expect to see that bid that they're behind on?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think
The
the
plan
bid-
right now is for it to go out to bid on the, let's see, it should go out sometime mid to late next week, if I understand correctly. That's the plan.
Which is
And-
basically a month behind?
It would be, but I think 3 weeks is what we're kind of being using, but it might be closer to a month depending on.
Okay,
on
just from a
couple.
timeline perspective.
Yeah, because what we have to do is they have to start over with the bids, and then there's a pre-bid conference. And so basically, whatever's happened in the last 3 weeks is for naught, and we're back going again.
Right.
So,
And then there is, let's see, there is the public meeting has been rescheduled, right? For
Yes.
August 11th. And that's the public information session. August-
And that's
Because-
that was in the packet that went out for Wednesday. So what I'll do is when I send the email to the commission, the personal email to the commission, not just the cancellation notice, I'll remind everybody about that date change.
Okay,
okay, well, thank you all. And Ed, I will get back to you as far as what I'm
All right.
seeing up here.
Okay, appreciate it.
Yes, thank you, everyone.
Jim's
Maybe
doing
some-
field work for us.
Okay.
thank you.
I've taken a bunch of pictures of restrooms.
Okay,
I'll be sharing
take-
those with you.
And I'm doing pavilions. So, okay.
I'm seeing a lot of restrooms in public spaces that have no gap.
Okay, well, take care all.
All right, thank you. Thanks,
Bye-bye.
everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.